Imagine discovering that aliens have been living inside human bodies for centuries. And the people responsible for imprisoning them aren't humans at all. They are futuristic beings known as guards, and their job is to capture dangerous alien prisoners and keep them trapped inside human hosts. The strange part is that the prisoners are hidden inside the human mind, so the people carrying them have no idea that another creature is living inside them. This is where the bizarre world of Alienoid begins. The story moves between two completely different eras, modern-day 2022 and the late Goryeo Dynasty, more than 6 centuries earlier. At first, these worlds seem unrelated, but the movie gradually reveals that they are connected by one mysterious object known as the Divine Blade. In the modern world, a futuristic guardian named Guard works with his robotic companion Thunder. Their mission is to monitor alien prisoners living inside humans and prevent them from escaping. Guard appears cold and emotionless, but he has secretly raised a young girl named Ian. She has grown up believing that Guard is simply an unusual man with strange technology around him. As Ian becomes older, she starts questioning where she came from and why Guard has always hidden the truth from her. Then everything changes when an alien prisoner escapes. The escaped alien isn't simply trying to survive. It wants to awaken a powerful entity known as the Controller and release a substance called Hava into Earth's atmosphere. If the plan succeeds, countless alien prisoners hidden inside human bodies could awaken at once, while the atmosphere itself would become deadly for humanity. Guard and Thunder race to stop the disaster, but the situation becomes far more complicated when a strange spacecraft arrives and the battle spreads across the city. Ian suddenly finds herself caught in a conflict she barely understands. She discovers that Guard has been protecting her for years, but she also realizes that the truth about her childhood is connected to something much larger. Eventually, Ian makes a desperate decision. Instead of allowing the alien threat to destroy the future, she uses the mysterious technology connected to the Divine Blade to travel back through time. And this is where the movie becomes completely unpredictable. Hundreds of years earlier, during the Goryeo Dynasty, another version of Ian is already searching for the same mysterious weapon. People call her the girl who shoots thunder because she carries something that looks completely impossible in that ancient world. A gun. She is searching for the Divine Blade because she believes it holds the key to returning to her own time. But she's not the only person searching for it. A talented but somewhat ridiculous Taoist bounty hunter named Muruk is also chasing the sword because an enormous reward has been placed on it. Muruk doesn't initially understand what the Divine Blade really is. To him, it's simply the greatest bounty he has ever seen. But as he follows the trail, he becomes involved with powerful Taoist sorcerers, mysterious warriors, and strange beings who are all secretly connected to the alien invasion. Among them are the dual mages, Madame Black and Mr. Blue, as well as the mysterious masked figure Zhajong. The deeper Muruk goes, the more obvious it becomes that the Divine Blade isn't an ordinary magical weapon. It's connected to technology from the future. And whoever controls it could potentially open the door between different points in time. Meanwhile, the aliens from the future have also arrived in the past. They're searching for their leader, the Controller. Their problem is that the Controller isn't walking around openly. It's hiding inside a human host. The aliens begin searching for the people who witnessed their arrival centuries earlier, believing one of them could be carrying the Controller without even knowing it. This creates a massive chain of misunderstandings. Humans think they're fighting sorcerers. Sorcerers think they're fighting supernatural creatures. The aliens are searching for their own leader. And Ian is desperately trying to find a way back to the future. Everyone is chasing the same objects and people without understanding the complete picture. Eventually, Ian and Muruk's paths cross. Neither completely trusts the other. But circumstances force them to work together. As they become involved in the fight over the Divine Blade, the truth about their connection slowly begins to emerge. The aliens launch attacks against the humans while the Taoist warriors use magic and weapons to fight back. What looks like a battle between ancient sorcery and extraterrestrial technology is actually part of a much larger time-traveling conflict. Then comes the movie's biggest revelation. Muruk has always seemed like an ordinary human Taoist with unusual abilities. But there is something inside him. Something he doesn't remember. Something the aliens have been searching for all along. The Controller. The powerful alien entity has been hiding inside Muruk's body. That's why Muruk can survive injuries that should be fatal. That's why his connection to the strange events is much deeper than anyone realizes. And that's where the first movie leaves the story. Ian is still fighting to reach the future. The Divine Blade remains the key to opening the path between eras. The aliens are still pursuing their goal. And Muruk has unknowingly become the host of the very being everyone has been searching for. What makes Alienoid unusual is that it deliberately mixes science fiction, Korean historical fantasy, martial arts, comedy, and time travel into one story. At first, the two timelines feel completely disconnected. But by the end, you realize they were never separate stories. They were two halves of the same mystery. And the final revelation about Muruk makes it clear that the real battle is only beginning. The revelation changes everything. Muruk doesn't understand why his body keeps recovering from injuries that should have killed him. He has always believed his unusual abilities come from his training as a Taoist. But now there is another possibility. Something has been living inside him. Something connected to the strange beings that arrived from the future. While Muruk struggles to understand what is happening to him, Yeon continues searching for the divine blade. She knows the weapon is more than a mystical sword. It is actually a piece of futuristic technology, and it may be the only thing capable of opening a path back to her own time. The problem is that the aliens are searching for the same weapon. They believe finding the divine blade, the crashed spacecraft, and the human who witnessed their arrival will allow them to locate their leader and complete their mission. This creates a race against time. Yeon needs the weapon to save the future. The aliens need it to destroy humanity. And Muruk is unknowingly carrying the secret that could decide which side wins. As the different groups finally collide, the ancient battlefield becomes chaos. Taoist warriors attack with supernatural abilities. The aliens use weapons that look like magic to people living in the Goryeo era. Yeon fights with her futuristic pistol, earning the strange nickname, the girl who shoots thunder. And Muruk finds himself fighting enemies he doesn't even understand. During the battle, Yeon manages to get hold of the divine blade. But instead of simply escaping, she uses herself as bait. She draws one of the alien pursuers away from the others, giving the remaining characters a chance to survive. The confrontation becomes increasingly dangerous. One alien is eventually separated from its human host. But there is a deadly rule. An alien cannot remain outside a human body for more than 5 minutes in Earth's atmosphere. If it cannot return to a host in time, it dies. The strategy works. One of the alien threats is eliminated. But Yeon still has another problem. She needs to find Thunder. The robotic companion that once looked like an ordinary vehicle is lying at the bottom of a river, damaged after the time jump. If she can recover Thunder and use the divine blade, she may still have a chance to return to the future. Meanwhile, Muruk is attacked and seemingly killed. His body is thrown into the river. Everyone believes he is dead. But then something impossible happens. Muruk wakes up. He survives an injury that should have been fatal. And for a brief moment, a forgotten memory returns. He sees himself as a child. He sees Yeon. He remembers the strange arrival from the sky. And then he remembers something moving toward him. Something alien. Something that had been searching for a human body. The truth becomes clear. The controller didn't disappear. It found a new host. And that host was Muruk. The man who spent the entire story searching for the mystery was carrying the answer inside himself. Muruk doesn't even realize what he has become. That makes the situation even more dangerous. Because if the controller awakens inside him completely, the aliens could regain their leader. But if Muruk can somehow resist it, he may become the key to stopping them. Yeon finally realizes that her journey through time wasn't an accident. Everything that happened, the divine blade, Muruk, Thunder, the aliens, and the ancient warriors, has been connected from the beginning. She has traveled hundreds of years into the past because the future depends on what happens here. And now she has to find a way back. The movie ends with the mystery still unresolved. The future is still in danger. The aliens haven't truly been defeated. Thunder's fate remains uncertain. And Muruk is carrying an enemy powerful enough to destroy humanity. What looked like two completely separate stories, one about aliens in modern Korea and another about Taoists searching for a mystical sword in ancient Goryeo, turns out to be one enormous story unfolding across centuries. And the final revelation makes one thing clear. The real battle hasn't ended. It has only moved through time. The first chapter closes with Yeon still fighting to return home, Muruk beginning to discover the secret inside him, and the forces from the future preparing for the next confrontation. The question is no longer whether the past and future will collide. They already have. The question is, when the final battle arrives, which side will control the future? The truth about Muruk finally begins to come together. For most of the story, he believes his strange abilities are simply the result of his training. But the closer he gets to the divine blade, the more memories begin returning. He remembers a mysterious girl. He remembers the strange object that fell from the sky. And most importantly, he remembers what happened when he was young. The controller had been searching for a new human host after being separated from its previous body. Muruk was one of the people present when Yian arrived in the past, and the alien ultimately found its way to him. Muruk's missing memories suddenly make sense. But Muruk isn't simply a helpless victim. The years he spent living as himself have created a strange conflict between the human consciousness and the alien presence inside him. At the same time, Yian finally understands why the Divine Blade has been so important throughout her journey. The weapon is connected to the technology that links the two eras. What appears to people in the Goryeo period to be a magical sword is actually part of the futuristic technology that can manipulate the boundary between bodies, energy, and time. That is why everyone has been chasing it. The Taoists want it because they believe it is an extraordinary weapon. The aliens want it because it can help them escape their situation. And Yian needs it because returning to the future is the only way she can stop the catastrophe that began there. The final confrontation brings the different worlds together. Ancient warriors fight alongside people connected to futuristic technology. Weapons that look like magic clash with alien machinery. And characters who spent most of the story fighting each other finally realize that they have a common enemy. The movie's biggest strength is that the confusion finally starts becoming meaningful. The two timelines were never separate adventures. The events of the future caused the events of the past, while the events of the past eventually determine what happens to the future. Yian's journey is therefore not simply a trip through history. She has become part of the history she was originally trying to change. Muruk's story works in a similar way. He spends much of the movie searching for the Divine Blade without understanding why he feels connected to it. By the end, we realize that his connection to Yian and the aliens began when he was still a child. This also explains the strange sense of familiarity between Muruk and Yian. They aren't meeting for the first time. They have already met once before. They simply don't remember it. The final revelation changes Muruk from a comic and slightly mysterious bounty hunter into one of the most important characters in the entire story. Because the greatest danger isn't necessarily standing outside him. It may already be inside him. And that's where the first movie deliberately stops. The controller remains connected to the story. The relationship between Yian and Muruk is still developing, and the connection between the past and future has not been completely resolved. Rather than giving the audience a clean victory, the ending leaves the characters standing at the beginning of an even larger conflict. That is the real purpose of Alienoid **. It isn't designed as a simple alien invasion movie. It's a giant puzzle involving time travel, alien prisoners, ancient Taoists, futuristic technology, hidden identities, and characters whose lives cross centuries apart. At first, everything looks random. Then the pieces begin connecting. The strange woman with the gun. The mysterious Divine Blade. The futuristic guardians. The alien prisoners. The ancient Taoists. Muruk's unusual abilities. And the mysterious events surrounding Yian's childhood. All of them are pieces of the same story. And once the final revelation arrives, the question isn't simply whether humanity can defeat the aliens. The bigger question is whether these characters can change the future without destroying the very events that brought them together. That is what makes the ending so important. The story doesn't really end when the battle is over. It ends when the characters finally understand that their past and future are connected. And for Yian and Muruk, their real journey is only beginning.